Welcome back to the Means Report, everybody. We appreciate you staying with us, and we want to tell you about a procedure that's available out there, a technique that can help detect whether you are at risk for stroke. It is called an angio screen, and Doctors Hospital is bringing it to you to make sure that you can stay as healthy as possible, and if there are any problems, to find out about them early. Kathy Henderson is joining me now. She's a registered nurse with Doctors Hospital. She's also the Director of Occupational Medicine at Doctors. And Kathy, thank you for taking the time out of your very busy day, your very busy life to be here.
Sure. I appreciate the opportunity.
Let me just ask for the uneducated like me and others, what is a stroke? Is it just simply an interrupted blood flow to the brain? And how's it happen?
Stroke can really occur two different ways. One way is from the buildup of cholesterol or plaque in the arteries, the carotid arteries that supply blood to the brain. And you can also have a rupture of a blood vessel, or what we call a hemorrhagic stroke, that can also cause interrupted blood flow to the brain.
Do you see more strokes in this part of the country because of our love of fried food? Is it that cause again?
It is called the stroke belt. So we do have a higher incidence here in the South. So we are at higher risk, in part I think because of our diet. Contributes. We have certainly our population contributes. We have quite a few people that have hypertension here, and that's going to put you at risk because of our diet and increased weight gain and things like that. Diabetes and some of these other illnesses that are very common here put you also at risk. Before
we talk about this screening that we're going to talk about, up until recently, how did you determine if somebody was at risk for stroke?
I think that probably the most common thing that physicians would do is do your typical lipid profile, where they look at your triglycerides, they'll look at your total cholesterol, the bad and good cholesterol, the HDL, LDL, that kind of thing. If you start to have symptoms or problems that identify that you might be at risk for having a stroke or having interruption of blood flow, they might order ultrasound pictures, of your arteries to see if that's occurring.
All right, so tell me about the angio screen. How are you all making it available to this community? First of all, let's talk about that. It's mobile.
Right, it is. We have the capability. We have a mobile health coach that we can take to outlying communities, to area industry. We actually have the capability to do it on the coach. We can also, being mobile, we can actually take our supplies inside, the machines and the tables and that kind of thing inside an industry or a business if that's what they wanted us to do, as opposed to doing it on the coach.
All right, so in case I'm about to get white coat fever here, I don't like to go to the doctor, I'm fine, I feel good. How easy is this?
It is really a very, very simple procedure. It only takes about 10 minutes total to do. We have you lie down flat on a table. We have you take your shoes and socks off. Outer garments, like heavy jackets or whatever, because we need the vascular tech needs to be able to get to your neck, so she can put some gel on here on both sides of your neck and scan your carotid arteries, and she takes pictures while she's doing that, a black and white and a color of each artery, and that would show whether there's plaque present or not. And then at the same time that she's doing that, we have a team of people that are taking blood pressures in all four extremities. We also do an EKG to look for atrial fibrillation, which is another cause of strokes, can be a major risk factor for stroke development. So all of these things are going on at the same time, and that's why it only takes a few minutes to complete.
So it's really like if you've been pregnant or loved someone who's pregnant, it's like a sonogram, except it's just scanning the carotid arteries here.
It is, and one of the things that we decided to add as a routine part of our screen is the measurement of the aorta, which is the big artery that runs down the center of the body. And some people are going to be at risk for aneurysms and not know it. They're usually, an aneurysm is just a weakening in that artery. But as you can imagine, with the pressure that it's under coming right off the, the heart and supplying blood all over the body, If you should have a weakening in the part of that artery, you could be at risk for rupture, and the mortality rate is very high. So after the vascular tech screens your carotid arteries, we just pull your shirt up, you know, just a few inches, and she takes the ultrasound probe and she actually measures your aorta to see if you have a problem with that.
How does plaque or a weakening of the aorta show up on the screen? What does it look like?
It looks like they're like little white blobs almost, and you can also see where the lining of the arteries start to thicken as well, and it'll just be like I said, I'm trying to think of an analogy to use, but whereas a lot of times, in fact, in an individual we were screening this morning, it was only in one artery that you could see that the lining of the artery was starting to build up or to thicken, which is the beginning of plaque. Now, plaque usually shows up as like white patches or white little balls, or it can even be a streak, you know, of white that's lining the wall of the artery.
You can clearly see it.
Oh, yes.
A lot of times I've heard people say, you know, I got a carotid artery screening, and they told me if I wouldn't have come in that day, I would have had a heart attack next week. Do you see situations where you need to rush them, maybe not rush, but get them in the hospital pretty quickly?
There are a couple of situations that we have actually had to, you know, send people. Mainly it's blood pressure, and of course elevated blood pressures put you at risk for stroke as well. Yeah. That's probably the most common thing that we've had to send people to the emergency department or directly to the doctor.
So you see it. Let me ask you this, because as always on the Means Report, our time flies by. I told the people that you're seeing kids as young as 12 with plaque in their arteries. First of all, are you seeing that locally, and how early should our children get their arteries checked? Very quickly.
Right. Well, we have, this is from a report, you know, that I received in the last day or two, some studies about the 12-year-olds. We have not been screening children yet here in the Augusta area because we focus mostly on the adult population, you know, and care for businesses and industry. So most everybody that we care for is adult. But there's no contraindication to screening at any age. Okay. You know, according to this study that you're referring to, they are seeing children much younger than anticipated with serious risk for cardiovascular disease.
All right, so it's never too early, really,
never.
But especially if you have a concern. Kathy Henderson, thank you for taking time. I appreciate it.
I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Well, we're grateful to you. Get your angio screen on, if you will. Look at where the mobile unit's going to be throughout the month of June all over the CSRA, especially there on the Doctors Hospital campus. By the way, if you miss it anywhere or if you need it to come to your industry, call Kathy Henderson, the Director of Occupational Medicine at Doctors, and she can hook you up. Otherwise, just go out there and get the screen. It sounds so simple, and it can save your life. One of those things we should all take advantage of. When we come back, economic advice from Jeff Fairman and how you can get in touch with us here at the Means Report. Stay tuned.